So which races are on the runoff ballot? Corpus Christi voters will decide the mayor's race and 2 city council races. In the mayor's race, incumbent Joe McComb is seeking another term. He's challenged by at-large council member Paulette Guajardo. The District 1 City Council seats also on the runoff ballot. Local business owner Rachel Caballero and retired Marine and Postal employee Billy Lerma are in that race. Current District 1 Councilman Everett Roy chose not to run for re-election. And the District 4 seat is also headed for a runoff. It pits incumbent Greg Smith against challenger Kaylin Paxson. Now, we got a chance to sit down and talk with both mayoral candidates a few weeks ago. It was all to give you a better insight into who's asking for your vote. We start with Mayor Joe McComb's profile, and as promised, here's Katia Uriarte.
Joe McComb became mayor in May of 2017, and the challenges came quickly. Hurricane Harvey hit less than 3 months after he took office.
The deliberations of do we evacuate or do we not evacuate? And we made the decision not to evacuate based on the information we had. We caught some criticism from that, but it was a right decision.
Hurricane Hannah hit us this year, but the biggest challenge has been an unseen enemy.
COVID has been the toughest challenge because a hurricane, you know it's coming. We've been through them before. You don't know whether you got 24 hours or 72 hours, but you can see it out there moving around. You can kind of do your anticipation. I mean, you're fighting an invisible battle with COVID.
The mayor, a man who knows a thing or two about handling personal tragedy.
I guess coming off of my personal experience in 2015, I don't know if there'd be a crisis any bigger than the 2015 Wimberley flood experience that we went through.
His son, daughter-in-law, and grandchildren and personal close friends swept away in that terrible flood. The only survivor, his son. And when he talks about the city, he talks about working together as a team.
During this whole pandemic, even up through today, we've not laid any employees off from the city as a result of the pandemic, which is very fortunate because they have bills to pay, they've got families to feed, and they had to be, people expected the city to continue to provide services, and we have been.
Next up now is challenger Paulette Guajardo. How would she transition from her role in the city council to the role of mayor if elected? Our Paul Mueller recently sat down with her to talk to her about her run for the mayor seat.
We have to know the cost.
After serving 2 terms on the city council, Paulette Guajardo says she's more than ready to take the city's top job.
But do you really think 4 years is enough?
The people came to me and said, it's time, you have to run. It was an expectation.
That expectation, she says, led her to officially announce her candidacy back in August.
And I think it's time that we strengthen leadership, that we take our city to the next level.
Guajardo found herself in a crowded field of mayoral candidates. On election night, she came in second to Joe McComb by less than 1,000 votes.
We're going to go into a runoff. We're going to work hard.
That left her with 45 days to convince constituents Corpus Christi needs new blood.
I am not a career politician, nor will I ever be. We have to have ethical leadership. We have to have a higher standard for the leaders who are elected by the people.
When you talk with your constituents, the 3 most important things to them typically are what?
Fixing our streets, securing an uninterruptible source of water, and the third one would be public safety.
And the list goes on, and Guajardo says the city needs a full-time mayor for major changes to happen. That full-time status is a must, she says, for Corpus Christi to grow. Yet at the same time, some wonder if that presents a problem.
So how can a full-time mayor work effectively with a strong city manager form of government?
I can't wait to find out.
You don't think you'll bump heads?
No, absolutely not. I think that if I was mayor and I was working full-time, Peter is going to be able to move even faster than he is now.
But for now, it's a sprint to the finish, and Guajardo says she's more than ready. In Corpus Christi, I'm Paul Mueller, Chris 6 News.
You'll get to hear a lot more from both candidates during a Chris 6 News Decision 2020 debate. The hour-long debate airs Monday night at 6 right here on Chris 6. The candidates will answer questions from our Chris 6 News team and some questions from you. Be sure to join us for the mayor runoff debate. That's coming up this coming Monday night. The Rockport Police Department continues to investigate a late-night assault a little over a week ago that has now left a 29-year-old man dead. Scott Audibert died at the hospital from his injuries yesterday. The assault happened at the Rack Pub and Eatery the day before Thanksgiving. Police say they have a so-called person of interest. When they make an arrest, that person could face manslaughter charges. The owner of the bar allowed us to see the security camera footage of the attack, but they're not releasing us to air out of respect for the victim's family. It shows Audibert talking to a person who later punched him, knocking him to the ground. Audibert's friends say he was an outgoing, kind person.
He was the one that was making friends whenever we'd go places, not like trying to find enemies or anything like that. So it's very heartbreaking, to say the least.
If you have any information, please call the Rockport Police Department. The number is 361-790-1105. The Rack Pub and Eatery will donate 10% of all sales this weekend to the family of the victim. There's also a GoFundMe fundraising website set up for the family. We have the information you need if you want to donate. That's on our website, christv.com. A suspected child predator now faces even more charges after he got into a 4-hour-long standoff with police. Police tried to arrest 36-year-old Johnny Wiley last night at a hotel on Shoreline Boulevard, but he barricaded himself in his room, telling officers the only way he was coming out was in a body bag. That was around 8:30 last night. More police and the SWAT team were called out, and finally, Wiley surrendered sometime after midnight. Police found a loaded handgun and dozens of bullets inside the room. Wiley's now in jail on an $800,000 bond. His original charges are child sexual abuse and indecent proposals to a child under the age of 16. This cell phone video shows U.S. Marshals arresting a Round Rock man here in Corpus Christi who was wanted for kidnapping. Marshals arrested 31-year-old David Harjahausen yesterday afternoon in the parking lot of a game room in the 5500 block of Everhart. Harjahausen and a woman are accused of kidnapping another woman in Round Rock back in September and forcing her to drive to Austin. The two suspects also supposedly threatened to torture and kill her. Police are holding Harjahausen in jail on an aggravated kidnapping charge from Williamson County. That's where Round Rock is. The Edinburgh High School football team has been kicked out of the playoffs after a violent attack on a referee during a game. This video almost hard to watch. Senior defensive tackle Emmanuel Duran, blindsides that ref during last night's game there in Edinburgh. The hit came after the referee ejected Duran for a late hit and unsportsmanlike conduct. Medics evaluated the referee for a concussion. Since this time, the school district has removed the entire Edinburgh High School football team from the playoffs. They'll also do an investigation and possibly add more punishments. Duran is charged with assault. Time now for a check of our forecast. Here's Dale.
Wow, nothing to say after that, but we had a beautiful day here in South Texas after the clouds burned off. As you can see on our weather bug camera down in Kingsville, there's the clouds. They quickly moved away, and now with the clear skies, temperatures are dropping quickly. You can see the clear skies across the region right now, and we are down into the 50s and dropping quickly with 51 in Rockport and just 52 in Falfurrias. We have 52 degrees. The day planner for tomorrow, 47 with clouds in the morning. Big turnaround happening. Yes, that's rain. It's going to be wet here tomorrow afternoon and evening, and a high tomorrow of just 56 degrees. The second Saturday in a row features rain, but will it last into Sunday? In a few minutes, I'll be back to tell you all about it. Seth?
We deserve more leaders in this world, like Royal Gonzalez.
A beloved CCISD assistant principal died from COVID-19. A former co-worker looks back fondly on their time together. Next. It's a sad day for CCISD and Veterans Memorial High School. Jose Rolando Gonzalez, an assistant principal at that school, died yesterday because of complications from COVID-19. Patrick Johnstone has more on the man who'd been with the district for several years.
Rolando Gonzalez had a positive impact on everyone he came in contact with, even those he didn't work directly with. Danny Noyola Jr. is the principal at Garcia Elementary. He worked with Gonzalez when they were both assistant principals. Noyola Jr. said Gonzalez was well respected and someone more people should try to be like.
When you have the capability of not just being a sincere individual, but an individual that people can believe in, people will follow. And he was a leader. We deserve more leaders in this world, like Royal Gonzalez.
The principal at Veterans Memorial said Gonzalez was positive, warm, and inspiring. He said he would light up a room when he walked into it, and he was loved and respected by his colleagues, students, and friends. Reporting in Corpus Christi, Patrick Johnstone, Chris 6 News.
Gonzalez is the fourth CCISD employee to die from COVID-19. Ramon Valdez, who worked in purchasing and distribution, died in July. Los ENCINOS elementary teacher Christine Reyna died in August. And Tracy Garcia, an employee of CCISD's Student Support Services Department, died from COVID-19 in September. Well, given Gonzalez's death, it was a bittersweet victory for the Veterans Memorial football team last night. The Eagles capped off a regular season perfectly with a 62-0 win over Ray last night. In doing so, they wrapped up the District 15 5A title. Veterans Memorial improved to 9-0 on the season, and now they're setting their sights on the opening round of the playoffs next week. They've also guaranteed themselves a home playoff game next week, but their opponent is still undecided. They'll host either McAllen Row or McAllen High next Friday night at Buck Stadium at 7:30. Nueces County passed the 25,000 mark today when it comes to COVID-19 cases. Health leaders reported 158 cases today. So far, this is the good news here, more than 22,000 people have recovered from the virus. But the county also announced 2 COVID-19 related deaths today. The victims were both men, one in his 50s and the other in his 60s. That brings the death toll to 498. And here's a look at the latest coronavirus cases throughout the coastal bend. You can check out these detailed numbers county by county very closely if you want to, just by visiting our website. That's christv.com. Still ahead on Chris 6 News at 6, a Vietnam veteran is getting a new wheelchair, and it's thanks to you at home. A wonderful story coming up after the break. Welcome back, everyone. Tonight we have a follow-up to a Veterans in Focus story that we brought to you earlier this week. Robert Ainsworth, a Vietnam vet waiting for wheelchair parts, doesn't have to wait anymore. Chris 6 News reporter Greg Chandler joins us now live in the studio with the latest. Greg, give us the good news.
Yeah, Seth, response to our story Wednesday was nothing short of incredible. We started receiving calls and emails within minutes of it airing, all offering to help Ainsworth, including more than one offer of a replacement wheelchair. Now, one of those calls came from Carol Mock of Portland. Her 96-year-old father passed away in May, 2 months after he got a brand new motorized wheelchair. Well, this morning we picked up the chair from the Portland facility Mock's father lived at, took it to Annaville, where a grateful Ainsworth was waiting. Mock's father was a World War II veteran, and she says that when she heard Ainsworth's story, she knew what had to be done.
My husband and I just both looked at each other, and I looked at you. You reminded me of my dad, and it was very easy to do. I think I'm going to get more out of it, just because I know that it's gone to a good place where it needs to be, and Daddy would be so proud.
Well, it's awful sweet of her to do this. I can travel now, back and forth on this pavement.
We also have an update on the parts Ainsworth was waiting for. He's been told by the repair company they're sitting on a dock in China. And unfortunately, those dock workers, well, they're on strike. However, when those parts arrive, Ainsworth says he hopes to pay Mock's gesture forward. For Veterans in Focus, Greg Chandler, Chris 6 News.
All right, thanks, Greg. Great story there. If you are a veteran, we invite you to check out the information page we've created just for you. You'll find that at christv.com/veteransinfocus. And if you're a veteran in need of some kind of help, or if you know a veteran who deserves some recognition for what they do for their community, we've set up a hotline for you to call. That number is on your screen there, 361-654-1620.